Now at 9, authorities in Oklahoma confirmed the identities and causes of death of the 7 bodies found near Tulsa. Plus, we'll hear from Joplin City officials about a shortage of lifeguard staffing in the public pools. And elementary students in Fort Scott get the chance to see what it's like being in college.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thank you all for joining us tonight. I'm Jalen Banks. We now know the victims and causes of death in a case where an Oklahoma sex offender is believed to have killed 6 people. Authorities say Jesse McFadden shot and killed all of the victims and then shot and killed himself. Those victims include 35-year-old Holly Guess and teenagers Riley Allen, Michael Mayo, Tiffany Guess, Ivy Webster, and Brittany Brewer. All were shot in the head. According to families of the victims, the shootings happened as McFadden sent text messages to his young accuser. In those, he blamed the woman for ending his great life, and he said he was determined not to go to prison. An Oklahoma woman says the law has failed her after Jesse McFadden raped her years ago and was released from prison early. But Crystal Strong says her pain was made worse when McFadden was connected to the murder of those 6 people. Reporter Daniela Ibarra brings us the horrific story.
Crystal Strong has spent nearly 2 decades of her life healing.
I was diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder. I was put on sleeping pills. I was put into counseling. I actually tried to take my own life at one point.
She says the trauma started in 2003. Strong was 16. She says that's when Jesse Lee McFadden raped her.
He had actually held a knife to my throat that night and told me if I told anybody that he would kill me.
Using her strength, Strong spoke up and helped convict him. A judge sentenced McFadden to 20 years in prison. In 2004, he asked the judge to modify his sentence. In a letter, McFadden wrote that he'd, quote, like to get out and prove that I have changed and I'm a better person. He was released in 2020, serving 85% of his sentence.
Yeah, he should have never got out.
On Monday, Strong's wounds were torn open once again. OHP reported 16-year-old Brittany Brewer and 14-year-old Ivy Webster endangered and missing. OHP said they were possibly with McFadden, a convicted sex offender.
I literally got sick because I had this terrible feeling that when it all went out, that I didn't have the heart to say anything, but I just felt like they weren't coming home.
Hours later, deputies found McFadden dead at this Henrietta property, which he listed on the registry as his home. 6 other bodies were found, 2 belonging to the missing girls.
Do you think someone failed?
Oh, yeah.
She says McFadden should have been in custody for child sex crime charges he got while in prison.
Maybe them 6 people that lost their lives would still be alive. And I say 6 because he don't count.
You can watch today's full press conference on the KOAM News Now YouTube page. Chief Meteorologist Doug Ketty joins us with the first look of the weather.
Well, it actually turned out to be a nice Wednesday for us today. Quite a bit of sunshine across the region after a cold start. We dipped all the way down to 36 during the morning hours, but 74 was our afternoon high, right where we should be for this time of the year. We look fine. Not much is going on here, but we do have some showers, some thunderstorms out across the panhandles of Oklahoma and Texas, and that's pretty much where they're going to stay as we go through the overnight hours. So we're going to stay dry tonight, but rain chances increase for us tomorrow. Still sitting upper 50s to lower 60s across the region. We slide back through the 50s down to about 51, 67 by 10 a.m. And if we look down the road, thunderstorms increasing, especially late tomorrow night. We could get some heavy amounts of rain. It's going to warm up for the weekend. More storm chances next week. We're going to break it all down for you here in just a bit.
All right, we'll see you then. The lack of city lifeguards may disrupt your summer plans at community pools. KOAM's Amber Jenkins spoke to the city of Joplin about their efforts to open the pool centers this summer.
City of Joplin is in desperate need of summer lifeguards in order to open the community pools. They need at least 30 lifeguards to partially open Schiffer-Decker Pool.
We have 2 lifeguards that are certified, ready to go. We have 9 more that are signed up for training sessions. And we do have some applications that are out there. We just haven't heard from the applicants yet.
In order to fully open Schiffer-Decker and Cunningham pools, the city needs a total of 90 lifeguards by June 2nd. The lack of lifeguards doesn't just affect open swim hours, but other pool programs and camps.
Of course, Aqua Zumba, that's another one that would be affected if we can't open this pool.
That is absolutely time that I take out of the week for me. It's an hour, sometimes 2 hours a week that I can come and I can exercise, and that is for me, and I can be with like-minded women.
Moms like Caitlin value the community pool for their little ones as much as they value it for themselves.
So without having the pools open, I mean, we have the parks, and those are nice, but what are they going to shut down next, honestly?
I do know every time we pass by the pool, our son always asks if the pool was open.
Some Joplin residents believe the low wage for lifeguards is the reason for the shortage.
Why would they work for less than minimum wage with having to go through trainings to save people's lives and just be on constant alert when they could go flip hamburgers at McDonald's for minimum wage and possibly even more than that?
There's so many different things for kids to do now. I mean, they have all their social organizations they belong to. They have athletics, they have camps, they have other jobs.
Reporting in Joplin, Amber Jenkins, KOAM News.
As seasonal city employees, lifeguards earn $11.58 per hour. Special Olympics Kansas today hosted its Southeast Kansas track and field event at Erie High School. Outside of competitions, the festivities included face painting, music, and physical therapy sessions. Officials with the program say the event offers local athletes the chance to build relationships and compete in a friendly environment.
Today is really about celebrating our athletes through inclusion, connection, and building those relationships. The athletes have so much fun when they come here, getting their medals and being able to interact with the students, and I just think it's good on all avenues.
This is the 10th annual Special Olympics track and field event at Erie High. Some Pitt State social work students today showcased their community-based projects. The students' projects varied in goals. Projects range from raising money for charities, collecting goods for educational organizations, or educating the youth about the dangers of opiates.
A lot of passion and skills and great ideas, and they make me feel hopeful for the future. So when you watch the news, it can feel really discouraging to see all of the terrible things that happen. And then I come here and I see these students and I watch the things that they do, and I see the ideas that they have, and how innovative they can be, how passionate they can be, and it makes me feel better about humanity.
Officials with the schools say the projects are designed to engage students with local organizations and nonprofits to better benefit the community. Fort Scott Community College today gave elementary students a chance to get a taste of college life. The school's Kids College event allows students to be a Greyhound for a day and explore potential pathways for their future. They were able to check out classes including crime scene investigations, history, chemical reactions, and wellness connection.
We could potentially have, the next president right here in this classroom with us. So to get them excited about continuing their education could open so many doors for them in the future.
The event was free to any interested student. Coming up, the latest public health epidemic.
The Surgeon General declaring a new public health epidemic affecting half the country. I'm Stevie Cotton in New York. I've got the details coming up.
The Surgeon General declaring the latest public health epidemic as more and more Americans are reporting an increase in loneliness and isolation. Feelings, health experts say, are a major health threat, with loneliness increasing the risk of premature death by 26% and social isolation by 29%. Fox News correspondent C.B. Cotton has the story.
Loneliness is far more than just a bad feeling.
This is a new warning from U.S. Surgeon General Dr. Vivek Murthy, the country's top doc, releasing an 81-page report finding widespread loneliness and isolation in America poses health risk as deadly as smoking up to 15 cigarettes a day.
Loneliness and isolation are associated with a greater risk of heart disease, dementia, stroke, depression, anxiety, and premature death.
And if you suffer from loneliness and isolation, you're not alone, with 1 in every 2 adults experiencing those feelings. The Surgeon General declaring it the latest public health epidemic.
Social connection is as fundamental to our mental and physical health as food, water, and sleep.
Research shows the increase in cases stems from people spending less time with friends and family, reduced attendance at houses of worship, and decreased involvement with community organizations. Another major contributing factor, the COVID-19 pandemic, when millions were forced to isolate. Loneliness costs the health industry billions of dollars annually. The report is not expected to lead to federal funding or initiatives to combat the problem, but lays out a framework for people, businesses, and organizations to make changes to boost connectivity.
It's really important that we commit to spending less time with screens and more time with other people.
The report showing social media also contributes to the epidemic, citing those who spend 2 or more hours on the platforms doubled their risk of feeling isolated. In New York, CB Cotton, Fox News.
New data shows a dramatic increase in fentanyl overdoses and deaths in the U.S. The CDC reports from 2016 to 2021, the fentanyl death rate quadrupled from roughly 5 deaths per 100,000 people to over 20 deaths per 100,000 people. The data also showed a rise in methamphetamine and cocaine deaths, but a decrease in heroin and oxycodone deaths. Medicinal cannabis is effective at relieving cancer pain and also reducing opioid use. A study published in BMJ Supportive and Palliative Care found patients who took products with both THC and CBD had less pain and didn't need opioids for pain as often. The study's authors say the research shows medical cannabis is a safe and effective treatment. Doug is back with a complete look at the forecast, and later, Missouri Southern softball takes on Emporia State in the first round of the MIAA tournament. We'll have highlights in sports.
Well, it definitely turned out to be a nice Wednesday for us today. Temperatures fantastic, mid-70s, right where we should be for this time of the year. And it looks pretty good out there right now. Nice shot. Indigo Sky Casino and Resort. Of course, Indigo is just outside of Seneca, Missouri. All right, look at our allergies. So on a scale of 1 to 12, today is a 9.7, tomorrow's a 9.0. So they've been staying pretty high, hopefully with some rain that we are going to get scattered late tomorrow into tomorrow night. It'll wash out the atmosphere just a little bit. Temperatures right now, our dew points out there right now, they're very low. Mid to upper 30s to near 40 degrees. So we can't get severe weather when the moisture is that low. In fact, we're not even on the scale. So that's why we got so cold this morning as we dropped into the 30s, but those dew points will start to come up just a bit for us tomorrow. 58 in Nevada, 61 in Grove. We have 59 in Pittsburgh. Carthage is sitting at 62. We can go outside. Here's 7th. Here's Rangeline sitting at 63. Southerly winds very light. Humidity relative way down there at 37%. We slide back through the 50s down to 51. Rebound right back to 67 by 10 a.m. And we do have some clouds which are starting to thicken up in our western counties, and we'll see those clouds thickening up for us tonight. Any thunderstorms way out across panhandles, Oklahoma and Texas, but this is our next storm system, which is going to head toward us as we go through about the next 24 hours or so. But tonight's going to be dry. Tomorrow afternoon, rain chances start to go up. Here's 3, here's 6, here's 9. I really think after 9 p.m. is when most of our chances move in, and then they should be gone by the time we head into Friday morning. There is a low, very low severe risk, marginal risk in our western counties. Most of the severe weather is going to stay out across central parts of Oklahoma. So very low risk when some of those storms get in here late tomorrow night, 11 p.m. to 5 a.m. All the threats we're going to keep low except elevate rain threat just because we could get some heavy amounts of rain. All right, dry tonight. Clouds work in as we go through the day. By 2 p.m., a few scattered little thunderstorms trying to get going. These are going to be very hit and miss as we go through the afternoon. So most of you dry all day. Tomorrow evening, showers, thunderstorms increase northeastern parts of Oklahoma, and then drive in late tomorrow evening after probably 9, 10 o'clock. A batch rolling through, heaviest along and south of I-44, at least the way it looks as of right now. And then most of these are gone by the time we head into Friday morning. All right, a high temp tomorrow, 70. A little bit cooler just because we're going to have a lot of clouds around. 82 Friday. We're going to push 90 on Saturday, 87 on Sunday. Isolated storms. We stay mainly into the 80s through the middle of next week. Hit and miss storms, another severe shot. Looks to be next Thursday and Friday. It's May now, so our chances for severe weather go up.
So we're pushing pool weather is what you're telling me? Hopefully the city of Joplin can get that lifeguard situation figured out.
No kidding, I heard about that.
So we can hop in a pool. All right, thank you, Doug. Coming up, the Fed's still trying to combat inflation.
The Fed hikes interest rates another quarter point. I'm Caroline Shively in Washington. I'll tell you how it'll affect your bottom line coming up.
The Federal Reserve Board raised interest rates today by 25 basis points, exactly what most analysts had predicted. A year of steady rate hikes has ushered in a wave of turmoil into the economy and forced a few banks into failure. The Fed says it's the only way to put the brakes on runaway inflation. Fox News correspondent Caroline Shively reports from Washington.
The Federal Reserve raised interest rates by a quarter of a point on Wednesday, the 10th hike in a row. It marks the first time the rate has topped 5% since 2007 in an attempt to slow down rampant and persistent inflation.
We are prepared to do more if greater monetary policy restraint is warranted.
The raise will make it even more expensive for people to get loans, to buy big-ticket items like homes, and for businesses to expand, with the goal of putting downward pressure on prices that have already come down in recent months.
Inflation is at the lowest rate it has been in almost 2 years since May 2020. Inflation has fallen about 45% from its peak last year. Wages rose last month and are higher than they were 9 months ago.
Inflation peaked last summer at 9%, but has been painfully high for 2 years, destabilizing the banking industry. 3 banks have failed since March. On Monday, J.P. Morgan Chase had to bail out First Republic Bank.
A lot of these banks have been caught with their pants down with respect to the huge increase in interest rates. I'm not so sure why they weren't prepared for that, but it's clear that the assets on their balance sheet are worth a lot less than they were a year and a half ago.
Looming over all economic news is the government's inability to reach a deal on the debt ceiling. The president and House Speaker are set to meet on that potential crisis next week. In Washington, Caroline Shively, Fox News.
McDonald's says it was deeply troubling to learn children as young as 10 years old were working in some Kentucky restaurants. A Labor Department investigation into 3 franchises found 305 children worked more hours than legally permitted or performed tasks not allowed for younger workers. One company, Bauer Food, employed 2 10-year-olds but did not pay them. Investigators say they sometimes worked as late as 2 a.m. The total fines for the 3 franchises were more than $212,000. The Federal Trade Commission wants to tighten restrictions on Facebook owner Meta. The agency claims the company has improperly shared user data with third parties and failed to protect children. The FTC says Meta violated an agreement to not share certain data as part of a privacy settlement in 2020. The new FTC proposal would forbid Meta from monetizing data collected from younger users. Up next, we'll meet the 2023 class being inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Rage Against the Machine is the most rock and roll oriented of the artists just announced in the 2023 class of inductees in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. They will be joined by art pop singer Kate Bush, singer-songwriter Sheryl Crow, outlaw country legend Willie Nelson, hip-hop innovator Missy Elliott, pop singer George Michael, and R&B vocal group The Spinners. Artists don't have to perform rock to be admitted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. They only have to impact and influence the genre. 30 more minutes of news, weather, and sports coming your way. How the Joplin Chamber of Commerce is recognizing National Small Business Week. Plus, details on a lawsuit against the Kansas Highway Patrol's use of a controversial tactic known as Kansas Two-Step. This week is National Small Business Week, celebrating businesses around the nation and in Southwest Missouri. KOAM John Haldela talked with the Joplin Area Chamber of Commerce and a business about the importance of small businesses in town.
The Joplin Area Chamber of Commerce officials have seen an increase with more individuals becoming entrepreneurs and starting new businesses post-pandemic.
Small business is truly the backbone of the country. So when you look at any economy or local economy, you have so many small businesses that just feed into each other and support the greater good.
Doug Hunt, Director of Entrepreneurship with the Joplin Area Chamber of Commerce, says the Chamber created a website called Launch in Southwest Missouri to support new business owners through the critical first years.
We wanted to launch something that was a hub that somebody could go to as a central source to find other support systems.
Josh Howard, owner of Happy Trees Table Company, started his business post-COVID, which had its hiccups.
All the raw materials, wood and resources otherwise skyrocketed. So, I definitely tried to keep those costs low for my customers as much as I can, but I think just as with every other business, we saw some increases across the board.
He likes to see communities investing in small businesses.
There's definitely kind of a transition happening in the area of people wanting to invest back into small businesses in the area more than there was, say, 5 years ago.
The Chamber of Commerce says it celebrates small businesses every week.
If you are a small business owner, you are completely focused in and zoned in on your business. So it's not just a week like the commemoration is, but it's a mindset, it's a drive, it's a determination. It's you building your business 24/7 every single day.
In Joplin, Janna Hautala, KOAM News.
Doug Hunt says National Small Business Week would be a good time to take a day off to analyze the business's systems and processes as well as targeted demographic. A change to an Oklahoma electioneering law takes effect immediately. Electioneering is when a politician or campaigner actively campaigns near a polling place to get votes. The law now says no person is allowed to electioneer within 300 feet of the entrance to a polling place or in-person absentee voting site during an election. It also restricts electioneering near a person who is standing in line to vote outside the polling place or in-person absentee voting site. The law previously restricted 300 feet within any ballot box. Several people are suing the Kansas Highway Patrol over a tactic known as the Kansas two-step. The lawsuit claims the tactic is when troopers find a reason to make a traffic stop, then, as the trooper heads back to the patrol car, they take a couple of steps and then return to interact with the driver again. The lawsuit contends the procedure buys time to continue seeking incriminating information and to get a drug-sniffing dog to the location, even if the trooper lacks reasonable suspicion. The ACLU of Kansas says troopers use it to target out-of-state motorists coming from places where marijuana is legal. Police in Texas made multiple arrests in connection with the murders of 5 people near Houston. It comes after a days-long manhunt. Fox News senior correspondent Casey Stegall has more.
Texas authorities arresting a woman identified as the wife of Francisco Oropeza, the man suspected of murdering 5 people last week. 53-year-old Divimara Lama Nava was reportedly taken into custody early Wednesday morning. The Montgomery County Sheriff says police believe she hid Oropeza. Prosecutors confirm another person is also in custody.
He was booked in last night under possession of marijuana charges. The investigation so far indicates that he was assisting Mr. Oropeza in fleeing the neighborhood where the crime took place.
A days-long manhunt for the 38-year-old ended Tuesday night when authorities found him hiding underneath a pile of laundry in a closet. It happened just miles from where the murders took place, and police say they spotted him in the area on Monday afternoon.
He was charged with 5 counts of murder. The bond was set at $1.5 million on each charge, a total amount of $7.5 million.
The arrest ending a massive law enforcement effort to find Oropeza. Hundreds of police from multiple agencies came in to assist officers in this rural town.
We've got 3 deputies on patrol to cover this entire county. If you're going from North County to Trails End, which is where this occurred at, it's an hour drive. That's with lights and siren.
Officials say the remains of 4 victims will return to Honduras for final funerals. That's the latest from Cold Spring, Texas. Casey Stegall, Fox News.
Police in Atlanta, Georgia say at least 1 person has been killed and 4 others injured after shooting at a medical building. A large number of heavily armed officers responded to calls of an active shooter this morning. The suspected shooter is still at large. Atlanta's mayor advised everyone in the area to shelter in place. A bit later, American education taking a hit.
A new report shows test scores for kids hit record lows. I'm David Spunt in Washington with a look at the numbers coming up.
Well, it definitely turned out to be a nice day for us today. High temps into the mid 70s, and of course we've dropped off, but still very comfortable. Most of us are sitting upper 50s to lower 60s. Case in point, 61, Neodesha, 62 in Anderson. Carthage is sitting at 61. In fact, let's go outside. Here's 7th, here's Rangeline, sitting at 63. Southerly winds light, humidity very low, so our temps will drop again. Not as cold as what we saw this morning, but we are going to drop back near 50. The clouds will keep our temps up just a little bit. We're going to rebound 67 by about 10 o'clock in the morning. All right, let's go outside. We do have some clouds, Kansas and Oklahoma. These will continue to increase as we go through the overnight hours for us tonight. But any thunderstorms staying well west, you can see them out across the panhandles of Oklahoma and Texas with our next storm system out across the Rockies, which will give us scattered showers and thunderstorms, especially late tomorrow night into Friday morning. In fact, those chances start increasing late afternoon with scattered storms. A little bit more widespread tomorrow night, especially after 10 or 11 o'clock, and then trail off by the time we get to Monday morning. We could get some stronger ones. Most of the severe weather stays just to our south and to our west. You can see a marginal severe threat, which means very low across Kansas and also parts of Oklahoma. So let's look at that. 11 p.m. to 5 a.m. Main threats, hail, wind, heavy rain will elevate the rain threat, but overall, the overall severe threat is pretty low, which is definitely good news. Through the night, clouds increase, backing down near 50. As we go through the day, we warm upper 60s. Here's 2 p.m. Scattered thunderstorms starting to pop up. Very hit and miss throughout the afternoon. A big chunk of you won't even see a drop through the day. As we get into tomorrow evening, showers and thunderstorms increase. I think these are going to move in a little bit later than what that time is indicating. I think most of these are going to be 9, 10, 11 p.m. But we could get some stronger storms, especially along and south of I-44. Also some heavy amounts of rain. This batch should be gone by Friday morning. We'll start the day with some clouds, but any rain scoots off toward the east. And then look at this. We warm up right around 80 degrees by the time we head into Friday afternoon. All right, rainfall amounts with this next storm system. We got to kind of see where those bigger bands of storms set up. Right now, it kind of looks the I-44 corridor and just south where you may get 2 or 3 inches. Not really flash flood because it's just too dry. It takes too much to really absorb into the ground. Northern counties, again, the lighter amounts of rain. 70 tomorrow, 82 Friday, 88 Saturday. So it's going to be downright hot by the time we go into the weekend. 87 on Sunday, an isolated thunderstorm. Hit and miss storms Monday, Tuesday. Chances increase Wednesday, Thursday, Friday of next week. So hopefully we can get some good rain as we head. Well, we are in May now.
Yeah.
Because we need it because summer's right around the corner.
We're probably going to have to break out the sunscreen if we go out on Saturday.
Yeah, it's going to be hot.
Yeah, all right. Thank you, Doug.
Yeah.
Coming up in sports, the Missouri Southern softball team hits the field against Emporia State in the first round of the MIAA tournament. Plus, 4 Pittsburgh high school student athletes signed to continue their careers in college. Jacob Leonard has that and more next.
Well, today is the opening day of the playoffs for Missouri Southern softball. The Lions are the number 2 seed in the MIAA conference tournament and face Emporia State tonight in the first round in Topeka. Now, these two teams split a doubleheader in the regular season. Leighton Withers in the second here, solo homer to left. However, at that point, Southern's still down 3-1. Later in the inning, Adriana Young drills it to left center. That gets down. 2-run score on the double from Young. Lions have their first lead at 4-3. Then Emily Perry pulls it down the left field line here to score Young. 5 runs in the second, puts the Lions in front. They don't look back. Southern wins their MIAA tournament opener over Emporia 11-3. The Missouri Southern baseball team is just 2 days away from kicking off the postseason. The Lions are the number 2 seed in the MIAA tournament and will host Newman for a 3-game series in the first round beginning on Friday. The Missouri Southern heads into the tournament ranked 13th in the nation with a 38-12 overall record. They got some momentum. The Lions won 10 of their last 12 games to finish up the regular season. That includes a 3-game sweep over Newman less than a month ago.
Yeah, we had success against them last time we played them, but I know their pitching staff is better than they showed us that they were, but it's just like go out there and be aggressive, hit the ball, try to attack the outfield, and just try to score a lot of runs.
I mean, they're a really offensive team. You know, they're as good offense as there is in the league. So we're going to have to pitch it really well, and at times we're going to have to score some runs. So we need good starting pitching, and also we need our offense to be good, and just kind of be consistent like they've been all year.
Today's a big day for the Pittsburgh high school student athletes. 4 Pittsburgh seniors signed this afternoon to continue their careers at the college level. Ellie Carpenter signs today to stay in Pittsburgh and join the dance team at Pittsburgh State University. Desi Gorley will continue her track and field career at Friends University in Wichita. Then we have a pair of wrestlers. Jaquan Augustin signs to wrestle at Labette Community College. And Corbin McIntyre is headed to Oklahoma, signing today to join head coach Joe Renfro in the NEO wrestling program.
Joe Renfro just seems like the type of guy that'd be my coach. He seems like a type of guy that pushed me to be the greatest I can be. At this point, I'm chasing a national title, and I feel like NEO is the best place to go to get that.
I want to make it higher than just college. I want to make it pro. I want to go to U.S. Open, Nationals. I'm really trying to take wrestling further step than it is college and high school.
I could tell that they have a really good school. Like, I feel like it is really homey, so that was like a big thing for me. I didn't want to feel like I was too far away from home.
I have a lot of friends that are going to Pitt State. I knew that I wanted to stay somewhere close to home so that it would be easier to come back and see family. And I've always been to Pitt State games. I've been super excited to try out for the team and to hopefully be able to represent the town that I grew up in.
4 talented individuals there, those 2 wrestlers, Corbin and Jaquan, great wrestlers. Corbin actually won more than 100 matches in his high school career. He's dog.
I mean, more than 100, that's 25 plus a year. Man, a lot of hard work, and hopefully he can continue that at the collegiate level.
He's going to a great program in NEO, so we'll see what they can get out of him too.
Absolutely, sounds good. That's it for sports. We're back with more after this. Test scores for kids in U.S. history and civics took a plunge. The news comes as the world is still trying to grapple with COVID-era learning loss. Parents, teachers, and policymakers are all searching for answers. Fox News correspondent David Spunt reports the latest from Washington.
A for effort. Maybe. 8th graders nationwide aren't testing well. Scores hit record lows last year, according to the nation's report card.
This is something that the president is concerned about, that the Secretary of Education is concerned about.
There was a 5-point drop in U.S. history scores from 2018 to 2022. It's part of a downward trend that started almost a decade ago. Only 13% of students are proficient in topics like democracy, culture, and technology. One question on the national test asked kids how to connect the Constitution to Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream speech. Few could provide a complete response.
It matters that it's history, because if you don't know your history, you're doomed to repeat it.
And in civics, scores dipped 2%, the first ever decline since the test began in the 1990s.
I think maybe there's a disconnect in the curriculum that's being used and what the teachers are presenting.
The results follow recent declines in reading and math scores, and it further underscores the impact of COVID-19.
It has placed most of our children at least a year behind.
The education secretary is taking aim at Republicans, saying now is not the time to ban books and censor educators. The GOP has zeroed in on culture wars at public schools across the country, arguing some topics regarding race and sex are too sensitive for kids.
We signed legislation last year that demanded that parents have a right to opt out of curriculum. And at the core of this, parents have a say about their children.
The results of the nation's report card were gathered from about 8,000 students at 400 different schools. In Washington, David Spunt, Fox News.
A tentative agreement is reached between Rutgers University and leaders from 3 unions linked to the school. The unions represent 9,000 members. According to Rutgers University, the tentative deal will provide raises for full-time faculty, graduate assistants, and others, as well as new compensation programs for those in the medical school faculty. Earlier this month, the unions went on a 5-day strike, which was the first one the university has experienced in its 257-year history. Coming up, proving age is just a number.
For one 83-year-old great-grandmother, running is just in her blood. I'm Marianne Rafferty with more on why she's keeping her eyes on next year's Paris Olympic Games. Coming up.
Marathon running probably isn't the first thing you'd expect of an 83-year-old to do, but one great-grandmother is here to shake up your expectations. Fox News correspondent Marianne Rafferty takes a closer look at her accomplishments, plus a new dream she's chasing down.
At 83 years old, Barbara Humbert is proving age doesn't mean you need to start slowing down. The highly decorated marathoner from France runs more than 30 miles a week to stay in shape and keep her stride strong for future races.
It's a feeling of freedom, of well-being, of joy, of communicating with nature, the forest, the fields.
In April, Humbert completed her 57th marathon with a time just over 6 hours and 20 minutes. She plans to run at least 2 more marathons before the end of this year.
I am very careful with training, with my food, much more than before, because I am aware of my age and, of course, I have to respect the restrictions that age imposes on me.
But even with all her medals and trophies, Humbert wants more than anything to run in next year's Marathon for All, a special race in France celebrating the 2024 Paris Olympic Games, where the general public will be able to run the same route as the Olympic athletes.
This Marathon for All this time is like a crowning achievement.
The problem, only 20,024 people will be allowed to participate, and the racers who sign up will be chosen at random. But while she needs to rely on luck, Humbert's devoted husband is trying to increase her odds, even asking the French sports minister for help in securing his wife a spot. Humbert's love affair with running began at the age of 43 after one of her daughters encouraged her to give it a try. She estimates she's run nearly 5,000 miles worth of official races since then. Marianne Rafferty, Fox News.
Man, that's awesome. And that's our time for tonight, and thank you all so much for joining us. But before you go, we'll leave you with a video of a leopard cub being rescued in India. Be safe, and we'll do this all again tomorrow. See you then.